Hey guys, and we are back with another reaction. You're back with BRO. You know what I mean? Yo, this is my one. You know what I mean? Hey, don't try to trademark my thing and try to diss me later. You know what I mean? So anyway, guys, we are back with another reaction. We're going back to the whole Victoria Everest. She has done a interview, and she's speaking about the whole situation, about the video. I won't lie to you, I watched it yesterday, so I already made up my mind, but I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys here. Off the record, Trend Central, I love how the office looks very, very professional. So let's get into this right now. But how's everyone's mental health? Everyone good? Everyone calm? Just asking. Let's get right into this. Yeah? Alright. Yeah, anyway, quick recap. Actually, before we get into it, quick recap. Victoria Everest, everyone knows now. She's a massive YouTube, Instagram influencer. Health, fitness, and a few things coming out have been exposed. She was caught talking to a guy in the gym, explaining that she lied, on someone and put a scrape charge on him. And obviously, due to the video being released, questions were asked. So let's get into this right now. I hope my sound is amazing because I want everyone to hear me. I'm getting comments that my sound's not very loud. You can't hear me enough. You can't hear me clearly, or my volume is quite low, even if they put the volume up. And I've seen that on some podcasts as well. So anyway, let's get into this.
Psychological effects that it had on you. How would you describe that?
I kept finding myself in relationships with abusive men.
Do you think that your father being absent in your life contributed to how you view men?
I witnessed the most horrific acts of domestic violence.
You said that this video was made near...
Guys, trigger warning. Sorry, trigger warning. I'm gonna do a big trigger warning.
10 years ago.
Yeah, I can't even believe somebody could hold on to a video that long.
Why is it being released now?
I don't know. I think you need to ask him that question.
When did you decide that in order for me to get him back, that you were gonna make this false allegation? Like, when did that thought process land?
Like, I felt that at that point that the only person that could stop this man was me.
It's very important to kind of like think about the repercussions that a rape charge has.
Serious, guys.
So you
Very
sent
serious.
in 2 videos of your abuse from Jason. So we're just going to play it now and then just talk through it. If you can kind of
Trigger
explain
warning,
to
guys.
me
Trigger
the
warning.
background, what's going on.
Introducing a...
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, mate. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, mate. Editing this out is so annoying, isn't it? It's so annoying. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Oh, I didn't see this. is nuts.
I'm gonna play that second one now.
Bring your things. Bring it. You bring my phone as well while you're at it. Bring my phone as well. While you're at it, since you want to get rid of, clear everything. Bring my phone as well. Bring everything right now. No going back right now. Bring it now. Bad girl. You lucky? You lucky. I'm gonna fucking come and get you. Watch.
Can you talk?
Guys, whoa, I am not gonna front. I said I watched it, but I think I skimmed through it. I didn't see this. Even still, but guys, that there is scumbag behavior. That is scumbag behavior. That is disgusting. I didn't even see that. That's disgusting behavior. That is, I'm like shocked. That is actually disgusting behavior. That is really disgusting. But that doesn't negate what she's done. You know what I mean? That can be disgusting behavior. But what she also did is disgusting behavior. Do you understand? Just to get that clear.
Talk to me about what was going on.
The relationship with Jason, you know, when it first started was really beautiful. He, you know, I guess there was a trauma bond for sure. He just lost his mum. I'd lost my mum, you know, a year ago, and there was a moment there where I was kind of supporting him and you know, holding his hand through that grieving process. And really early on, within, you know, the first couple of weeks of entering into the relationship, he had decided that he was going to help me financially. I'd fallen into mortgage arrears actually with my mortgage company. I had a change in job, and he was like, "I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna support you financially to settle some of your bills." It wasn't a huge amount of money. I think it was like £5,000 at the time, and in exchange for giving me, you know, loaning me, loaning me this money to cover my arrears, he wanted me to sign a document. And this document, at the time I didn't know what it was, but it was a power of attorney. And because I decided that when I found out what a power of attorney document was and what it meant, and I decided that I wasn't going to sign this document, that's when he became very violent towards me.
Wait, what? Is that how niggas... Well, I can put them moving. What? So what? If I borrow someone money, they gotta sign a form of power of attorney, yeah? So that means... So power of attorney means... I hope I'm right. If not, I can just Google it. Power of attorney means they can talk on your behalf, right? So for example, if you go into the bank or you have assets or whatever, I can sell it or whatever because I have the power of attorney of her financials and everything. I hope that's right. So that house would be his. Yes.
As you can hear from my video, you know, I was in deep distress. I was, you know, in fear for my life, despite the fact that he had been arrested and, you know, he'd already been cautioned, he'd been given bail conditions. He was constantly turning up to my house, making threats, pressuring me to sign these documents. And it was only later that I discovered that he's a man that's in his mid-40s and he'd gone through his entire life conning and manipulating women out of property. And having owned several properties in London, you know, I was essentially his next victim. And when I decided that I'm not going to play ball, that's when the violence began, and that's when I sought on support from the police, because ultimately, you know, one thing as well that's not painted is I have no mum, I have no dad, I have no older brother, I have no relatives. So the only people that I could rely on when I was at home.
Hey, listen, yeah, shout out to the people that lost their parents, man. No, real talk. Like, shout out to the people that lost their parents. Because you guys must be the strongest people in the world, boy. Honestly, you guys must be the strongest people in the world. Because losing your parent and like, because how I see things, so for example, like if it comes to like defense and walls, my grandmom is the wall there. My grandma passed away and my granddad passed away. So those two walls are gone. You understand? And then it's my mum. So when you lose that final wall and you become a wall yourself to your children and their grandkids, it just seems so sad. You know what I mean? But shout out to the people that lost their parents, man. Both of them, man. That's crazy, man. It's okay, man.
I'm in the UK. Was the Metropolitan Police to come in and support me, and this time round they actually did such an incredible job, you know, in the process. But
collecting a surprise bag isn't
my guy. What are we doing here? You know what I mean? I can't stop saying that. Like, I can't stop. Hey, Clue, you had one, you know. What I'm doing it is so catchy because we use it all the time.
No, Jason was a very angry man, and you know, he wanted one thing and one thing only, and it was those signed papers. And when I refused to do that, he held me captive in the house. He refused to let me leave the house. I was forced to take a cold shower. It was almost 3 days that he had me locked up in the house, and that was me trying to escape that second video. And you could see he wasn't going to let me go anywhere at that point. And I had nobody around me at all to step in and support me and, you know, protect me, really. And I think that's what it boiled down to. And it's, you know, I'm just really grateful that, you know, making this mistake the second time round by allowing somebody so dangerous into my home, I was really grateful this time around that my son wasn't there to witness it. And it didn't last 18 months. It was only 3 months.
Yeah, it sounds like a very difficult time.
Wow. If what she's saying is 100%, that is crazy. And that and I think and that's the issue, you know, like with the lying. Like that is one of the main issue is the lying, because now everything you said has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Like this could be happening. This could have happened. Like I'm not saying it isn't. This actually could have happened, but you know, I'll have to second guess, and I don't want to. But sometimes the body does what the body does. The mind does what the mind says. You know. It's just sad, man. It's just sad how it's just sad how things played out for her. Because in that video, she looks way too comfortable talking about it. Maybe there's years and years of healing. Cool. But I just, you know what I mean? Like, it just something just felt off. And I could be wrong. This is not facts, it's opinions. These are all opinions. But the fact is, on that video, you said what you said. The fact is, on the video you just sent over, yes, the guy was pushing through your door and you heard the screaming and stuff. We couldn't see anything, we just heard things. But him pushing through the door wherever in the second video. I'm not saying that we always need to see what happens to believe. But because of that video that was exposed. And it's sad that it happens like this. It is.
Very, very dark time. Do you understand why you are receiving a lot of backlash?
Yeah, I completely, you know, for individuals that have actually gone through, you know, been wrongly accused of rape, of sexual assault, of any type of, you know, criminal
Anything, yeah.
activity, and then to have somebody, you know, go online and have a video of somebody saying that, you know, I would wrongly accuse an individual for sexual assault to justify, you know, to protect other women from being assaulted, can definitely trigger you know, individuals. And like I said, the intention behind that video wasn't to trigger or hurt or cause anyone pain. Really, like I said before, you know, it was an expression of the pain that I was going through as a domestic abuse survivor. Domestic abuse is something that, like I said, I've never shared on my platform because, you know, moving into the work that I do, and that's why my lifestyle is so important to me. That's why I take such good care of myself. That's why I now channel.
You need to answer the question, madam. I don't understand how women are going through domestics and men going through domestic. I've never been through it, so I can only listen to what people's stories are. I can empathize with them being scared, but I can never actually feel what they feel because I didn't actually go through what they went through. You know what I mean? But I don't know, that video it just gives me a, you know what I mean, that feeling, like, I don't know, man.
All the energy back into taking care of myself, understanding my worth, understanding my value, so I don't end up in a situation
Like that
where
again.
I'm repeating history.
For people that, you know, have been sexually assaulted, unfortunately, and those that are, it's going to happen to, because, you know, unfortunately that perversion doesn't end.
Any man that does any type of assault, get him out of here. The man them that know the man them that's doing the madness, get him out of here. Get him out of here. I'm telling you that politely. I'm telling you that with, or not politely. Get them out of here. If a woman says nah, it means no. And I don't want to hear, oh yeah, she's being rude, this and that. So yeah, sometimes, yes, of course. But everybody's different. And that's what you have to remember. You can't generalize. Everyone is different. There's some women that will say, no, I'm sorry, I'm taken. And there's some guys will say, I respect that. I'll let you go do your thing. There are some girls that say, F off. Don't, no. Are you dumb? You're not my type. And there are some guys that will grab her and do whatever. There are different people on this planet. So when people try to generalize, oh yes, women sometimes bro, it doesn't mean you gotta touch them, bro. It doesn't mean you gotta touch them, bro. Like, and I see it. I see it, and it's sad. It's very, very sad. I know I'm going on a tangent talking about same topic but off the record. Let's go.
You know, there's this conversation being had that,
oh my gosh, I swear these adverts do it on purpose, you know. Like, it just pop out of nowhere. If I knew there was an advert before, I would have spoke when the advert was playing. You know what I mean? This YouTube thing, I'm really trying to get it on point.
this video that has leaked of you contributes to a mindset that a lot of people have when women come forward and say they've been abused. And it's like, well, she could be lying. She could be, she could just be a woman scorned. And this video contributes to that narrative. How do you feel about that, knowing that you've kind of given people room to even say that?
I think as painful and as hurtful the video is for people to watch, it's definitely something that really needs to be discussed and spoken about, because as a survivor of domestic violence, as somebody that's gone through abuse, you do not have to be an angry, scorned woman. That, I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy going to jail. And, unless they've actually physically done something wrong, then absolutely justice needs to play its part. But for somebody that's done nothing wrong, it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be the case. I feel like, the video should never have come out, because it formed part of police evidence, and my legal team are working with the police now.
I'm going to assume that, obviously, not even assume.
Madam, this is what I mean. Like it feels like you're not taking any accountability for the video in itself and the harm it could do. Bro, you went through. And I wish you all the best. Victoria, you went through what you went through. So I don't know how, I have a lot of women friends that's been through that type of situation. And the conversation I have with them, they sound broken. Because they're terrified. However, when the question is asked, when the host is asking you, the interviewer is asking you a question, did you know what the damage you have done when you did that video? And your response was, yes, but that video should have never came out in the first place. That's what you are saying. And that's when it doesn't sound genuine. It sounds like you're lying, you're forcing it. You're just doing it, yes, because you got caught or the video got taken out. The first thing you said, yeah, and contact my legal team because that wasn't police evidence and so on and so on. But you said the video was AI, you said it was fake. You said all these different things. Like, come on, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Sorry, Clue, but that's a common phrase.
Because you've said it, actually. You've learned from this and, you've grown from it. Do you regret the things that you said in that video?
Totally, absolutely. I should never have said the things that I said, and I take full accountability. It's not, karma works in the way where it really shouldn't be anybody's responsibility, to bestow on that person their wrongdoings. We rely so heavily on the justice system, but we know, as a community that there's so much injustice within the justice system. And I've had to learn that recently myself, having gone through this experience in this last relationship. And I know I'm not the first or the last woman that's going to be let down by the system. And I definitely feel like that we need to be more open and create a safe space for people to be open and honest about domestic violence and abuse as a whole.
Yeah. Everything you've been through, I've said it multiple times. I'm really sorry that you've endured that. It sounds like so much for one person to go through. And I understand why that would make you maybe make irrational decisions like you did. And
Assalamu alaikum. This.
Oh my gosh, come on. It just feels like she's just more upset that the video was out. You know what I mean? I think that's what it feels like to me. It feels like she's more upset and more concerned the video coming out, the video being out, and damaging her brand. I get that, but what you did was madness, madame. Madame, it was madness, madame. No? Madame, it was madness. Such a beautiful woman.
I think there's nothing that you say to me personally that justifies the action that you took. Do you feel, looking back, like even though you went through the abuse and you endured a lot of things, that you were justified in that moment doing what you did?
There's nothing that can condone anything I said in that video, whether I was abused or beaten up or witnessed. Ultimately, like I said, I take responsibility for allowing myself to enter into those spaces and have patterns that I'd seen growing up normalize in my adult life, and enable those patterns. That's one thing I've had to learn and really sit with over the last few years is, I think I said this earlier, is that we don't have the ability to change anyone but ourselves. So the only thing that I'm responsible for is, making sure that I prevent myself from getting back into another abusive relationship. And I've had to do so much work around, letting go of those thoughts and also not holding on to that narrative and letting it stop me go through life. The time that video was taken, I was an alcoholic. I was drinking alcohol, a bottle of 2 of wine every other day, and that was one of the things, again, I had to deal with in rehab.
And that's where she loses people again. Blame it on the dudes. Blame it on the alcohol, baby. No, madame. No, madame. You know what I mean? Like, madame, this was crazy, madame. Like, real talk, this was crazy. That video was nuts. And you were laughing, this and that. Like, if you in the video say, I'm so scared. No, actually, I can't even say that. I'm trying to give her leeway. I'm not going to do that. Because if it was the other... No, even so, forget that. The video itself is bad. There's no other way around. The video itself is a bad video. Doesn't matter what gender you are. The video was a horrible, horrible, treacherous video. You know what I mean?
Sorry to cut you, Victoria. I don't want to forget my point. So you've obviously gone through therapy and a rehab and just transforming your life. So would you say that your view when it comes to men has changed? Do you still hate men? Like, are you still happy to break them down?
I've healed my relationship with men. I have a very, very, very healthy relationship with men. Like I said, I'm really grateful that I'm in a committed, healthy relationship with an incredible man who's been so supportive to me throughout this entire process. And like, we've got this preconceived notion as women that have grown up, in the hood, that all men are the same, and they're really not. And despite the challenges that I faced, at points that were very vulnerable for me, and the people that I let into my life, like I said, it all boils down to the level of worth that I had for myself. And I'm much more aware. I make decisions with much more discernment now. But I've had to walk through the fire to be able to get to that point, to where I am today, where I can say this.
If you were to have a conversation with Denzel today, what would you say to him following everything that has happened?
Monday.com's AI.
Nah. Big man. What's going on with the adverts? God damn, someone's getting paid for all this. Anyway, guys, if you want to see the full video, go on Trend Central and hear more about this, because it's just... Anyway, okay, cool. Before I leave, let's continue a bit. Before I go, okay? Let's continue a bit.
If I saw Denzel 8 years on, the first thing I would say is sorry, and I would apologize for, saying those things, for being so malicious in the things that I said, and I know, like, as women, as men, when we're angry, we can say all kinds of things. And like I said, there's no justification for it at all.
Is there something that you would say to people that have been assaulted sexually, or like, is there something that you would want to
Good
say to
interview.
them?
Great
Because obviously
questions.
that
Great
community of
questions.
people could be very triggered by this. They probably are very triggered by this, especially if their stories weren't believed.
Yeah, I know what it feels like to have your story not relieved and not realized, and for justice to not play its part. So I completely relate and totally understand how that may have triggered those victims who have experienced, you know, sexual abuse in some way or form. And I want to apologize specifically to those women or men who have experienced sexual abuse. And if this video has triggered you in any way, you know, I'm deeply sorry for that.
I'm not going to say any names, but I'm sure you can imagine what people are thinking right now. So what would you want people to receive from this interview, just for them to know about you and your side of this particular story?
I made a really terrible mistake quite early on in my adult life. And do I regret it? Absolutely. You know, I take full responsibility for the things that I said. The issue was dealt with. Have I faced the repercussions of it? Yeah, absolutely. I have a criminal record. I had to do probation. I had to do community service as a result of that video being provided to the police. And, you know, ultimately, I guess one of the things that I'm here to say is that there's going to be a lot of people that, despite anything that I've come here and said today, that are still going to cancel me, and that's fine. You know, I'm really okay with that. Like I said, everybody in life deserves a second chance. There is life after DV. There is life after sexual assault. This is not going to be the first, and it's not going to be the last thing that is said about me. You know, my name is being thrown around. You know, and in some way, it's quite flattering that nobody else in the UK has anything else better to do.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. See, don't do that. And this is don't do that. Don't do that. And that's the problem. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. She should have said, I effed up. I messed up. I fully messed up. I should, like, if you shouldn't let me. I understand if you don't. Again, I am, you know what I mean, apologetic. You know what I mean? I understand you're apologizing to someone that allegedly did his whatever to you. You know what I mean? So I understand that. But you should apologize to the people that actually, and I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's genuine. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I will just say this. Please be careful who you go out with, guys and women. Please be careful who you date. Please be careful. Because I've seen and heard on both sides. Just be careful. Do your background research. Like Specs always says, check your mirrors. You know? And if you get any inkling of that type of behavior on from any sides, leave. I know it's not that easy because I'm not in it. But you were born like how he was born. You were born like she was born. We were all born the same way, from the womb or the C-section or whatever. So no one's better than, no one's less than. Peace out, guys. And react, like, notification bell, all that good stuff. You know what I mean?